Hello, everybody. Now that we are in the beginning of March, now that March has started and spring is just around the corner, I'm going to rank all of the books that I read in 2024. And if you're looking at the tiers, I don't know. My brain was just on fries. I have steak fries in the freezer. I air fried them, thought about how great they were, and just at the same time thought about making a tier list for my books. And that's how this came about. We have steak fries, my favorite cut of fry. Personally, I could have some disagreeers in the comments, but steak fries for me, the crispy outside and the mushy inside, just perfect. As long as they're seasoned well, they are great. These are the books that I love. I would recommend to anyone. Then we have sweet potato fries. I see them. I always want to get them, but there's something that prevents me from getting it. These are the books that are great, but for whatever reason, they're not pushed over that line. Then you have the potato in the middle, which could be anything. You could bake it, you could mash it, you could turn it into hash browns. You could do whatever you want with a potato. These are the books that had so much potential going in, but they just didn't push that boundary enough for me to bump up one more tier. The empty box. So maybe you ordered some fries and you didn't get them, or you just finished your fries and then at the end you're kind of left bummed. You're left a little disappointed or let down. And then finally, we have soggy fries. I would rather have an empty box because it could mean that I ate the fries and enjoyed them. I was just left with an empty box, and that's sad. But with soggy fries, it's like I don't even really enjoy eating these, but I don't want to waste them. I don't want to throw them away, so I'm gonna power through and just get it done. And that's what the soggy fry books are. So feel free to steal these tiers for yourself because they're so universal. Oh, and of course, if you live outside of the United States, I guess I don't know all of the places that call them chips, but these could be chips for you as well. Anyway, let's just go ahead and put in the obvious steak fry tier books first. Where's James? There we go. James by Percival Everett, The Radium Girls by Kate Moore, Aloha Everything is Somewhere. You are all the way over here. By Kaylin Malia George, illustrated by May Waite. Daughters of the Dust by Julie Dash. And we have Bury Your Gaze by Chuck Tingle. I made a video reviewing one last time all 5 of these books. I don't want to do it again. They're all here in the steak fry tier. These are my top 5 for the year. And there were some honorable mentions that could have gone in that video but didn't. I regretted it for a few days, not including these books in that video, but I told myself moving forward, I'm just going to say it's a top 5. That's it. So that I don't have any regrets afterward. These honorable mentions go to The Color Purple by Alice Walker. We have Foster by Claire Keegan, left me with lots of questions, and The Talk by Darren Bell. This was my first graphic novel for this channel, at least. A lot of his experiences were portrayed by his comic style. I think those are the only honorable mentions. So let's move on to the only 2 books that I believe are going into the Soggy Fries category. Jake Reinvented by Gordon Corman. This is a retelling of The Great Gatsby, which I could go ahead and put up here because I read this earlier in the year as well. The Great Gatsby by F. Scott Fitzgerald. I didn't expect to enjoy this book as much as I did because I don't typically enjoy classics, I guess, because so many classics were forced reading back in middle school and high school. And I do remember having to read this. I don't particularly remember enjoying it, but now as an adult reading it, short book too, I liked it a lot more. So I wanted to read a retelling, Jake Reinvented. Didn't like it as much, mostly because the titular character kept calling the main character baby. Not really a winner for me. And then we have Crossroads by Dustin Rhodes. I feel bad because this one is a memoir. This is about his life. This one was pretty bare bones, pretty basic. I did appreciate his fight with addiction and his family life. But another thing that really held this book back was the animal cruelty towards the end. Not too happy with some of the decisions made around furry friends. So it lands in the Soggy Fries category. And I think these two are the only books. Just looking at the list in total, I think these are the only two Soggy Fry books that I have to add here. So overall, not a lot of wet fries that I don't enjoy. Not a lot of books that, I wish I hadn't read. Both of these were very short though. So, you know, there's something to say about that as well. I was able to get through them because of the length. So let's go into other memoirs. Since I do enjoy a good memoir, I didn't read too many of them. I guess superheroes are everywhere. This might be a controversial take, but this is by Kamala Harris. And the problem that I had was she kind of painted herself as a superhero at the end. But to be honest, I thought about this book a lot around a certain point last year. Without getting into specifics, you could probably guess at what point I thought about this book. And had things gone a different way, I would have retracted my statements because you know what? I should retract them anyway. I read this really early in the year and a lot of shit happened in 2024. So, you know, maybe I am backpedaling a little bit, but I still think this had a little bit more potential as a children's book, as a picture book. Then we have Tough by Terry Crews. I enjoyed this. I know a lot of reviewers had some things to say. There are some topics that Terry Crews covers that I refuse to touch. The Talk by Darren Bell was also a memoir. I think I mentioned that. And then we have The House of Hidden Meanings by RuPaul. This is kind of on the cusp of sweet potato and potato. Some of the language I think I could have done without, only because it was over sexual, and I don't really handle that super well, but it was really neat to read about his upbringing and how he came to be the queen of drag. There's nothing about RuPaul's Drag Race in this though, so just if you're going into this book, just know that that's not going to be there. A couple of books that I didn't remember reading in 2024, but when I saw them on this list, good memories flooded back. I'm going to put Bad Men by Julie May Cohen and Better Than a Box of Chocolates by Emily March in the sweet potato fry tier. I might need to add a star to Better Than a Box of Chocolates because these were just cute. These were cute books that were written not to be taken seriously. And I feel that when you go into a book knowing that it's not meant to be taken seriously, it's just supposed to be cute and funny, camp, it just makes it such a better experience. And by me saying that, it's not me saying that if you do go into these books intending to take them seriously, that they are necessarily written poorly. But I do feel like I got a lot more enjoyment out of these. There are serious topics in Bad Men, specifically, but Better Than a Box of Chocolates was just all cute. It was very Hallmark, very Lifetime, set in a Christmas town. It's Valentine's Day in a Christmas town. So yeah, I'd actually forgotten that I read these two, and when I saw them on the list, I was like, oh yeah, and with that same voice, like I saw an old friend. Since the empty box is coincidentally empty, I think I can fill in some books here as well. The Cleaner by Brandy Wells, Las Posadas by V. Castro, Board Gay Werewolf by Tony Santarella. This one's going to be controversial. The Song of Achilles by Madeline Miller. I do enjoy the story of Achilles and Patroclus, but I feel that this could have I don't know. It just didn't do it for me. I know that so many people love this book on on Book Talk and BookTube, but it just wasn't a winner for me. Oh, and I'm gonna put Trophy Hunt by CJ Box, a box within a box. I think in all of these cases, I was just either in need of a lot more, or in some cases, some scenes could have been taken out. Antibot is a 4-star book that I'm putting in the steak fry category, and I think this is the only 4-star read that I'm putting up there. I'm gonna keep the rating the way it is. I don't think I'm gonna bump it up to 5 stars because I know why I gave it a 4-star rating. However, I think that the intentionality behind having Annie be a robot and the story that this book was telling. This is by Sierra Greer, a debut. The story was telling is meaningful, is strong. So the rest of these books, I don't know if I have all that much to say. Mary, I certainly remember enjoying it. It was really just Nadine that kept it from crossing the line into the steak fry tier. Um, I know that Nadine was supposed to be detestable, but Nat Cassidy did way too good of a job because I tuned her out. I listened to the audiobook for this, so that could have made a difference, but I tuned her out and I feel like I missed so many conversations because I just could not stand her. When no one is watching is in the sweet potato fry category too. And the one thing that held it back, I think, was the romance. I do think it needed to be there, but it also kind of became a distraction. The Drift by CJ Tudor. I remember the beginning of this one was a little bit slow, a lot of character soup in the beginning, but over time the action picked up. Straight. This is another one by Chuck Tingle. This is kind of a borderline, kind of like The House of Hidden Meanings. It's kind of borderline sweet potato and potato. Wandering Stars. The events of There are sandwiched in between the events in this book. This was written by Tommy Orange. And then we have A Boy Called Bat. I think this is by Ilana K. Arnold. If I'm wrong, I will put the correct name in the video. Sweet little boy with autism who befriends a skunk that his mother brings home from the vet. Just really cute book. This actually ended up on a banned book list for some reason. I think it was in a bin for diversity, and because it was marked as a diverse book, because Bat, the main character, is neurodivergent, then it was flagged and subsequently banned in one state. Moving on to the rest of the books. Mr. Bridge, again, I said this in my review for Mr. Bridge. You need to read Mrs. Bridge first, as it was intended. This is by Evan S. Connell. He wrote Mrs. Bridge first. You need to get to know her because Mr. Bridge sucks. He is not a character to root for. We have First Lie Wins, which was my COVID read. I have to put it in potato. This might be a little unfair. This is written by Ashley Elston. I just don't. I remember vaguely some events that happened. I do remember enjoying it while I was sick. I feel like if somebody were to talk to me about this book and we could have like a conversation, I feel like I would remember a lot more than what I remember just talking about it on my own. Burn This Night. This is a potato book. Another fine book written by Alex Kenna. I just wish she would have pushed the boundaries a little bit more with the character Jacob. Oh, Beast of No Nation. Oh my gosh, steak fry. Wow. Why was that left to the end? Uzodinma Iwala. If you're not familiar with him and his writing, I've reviewed a few of his books now already, but his books are tough. You have to be in the right headspace to want to read his books. This was about a child soldier in a West African civil war, and he sees it all the devastation. It's brutal, it's disgusting, and some of the things that he has to face in the barracks. Several people were typing, I'm putting it in empty box. This was by Calvin Kasulki. This was a steak fry book with one scene that I absolutely detested. The Slack conversations were wonderful. The corporate setting was something that I could relate to. I love Gerald being trapped inside Slack. But one scene, and if you read this book, you know what scene it is. I could have done without it completely. Without that scene, this would have been a steak fry book, like I said. And then finally, we have The Perks of Being a Wallflower by Stephen Chbosky. This is another controversial take, but this is a potato read for me. Looking back, I remember really relating to and enjoying this book. But I can't really pick out scenes. I could pick out one scene, one of the scenes that I did not like in this book. Not one that was so detestable that it dropped ratings, but it's bad that the only scene that I could remember is a negative one. This book and First Lie Wins, like, let me just scooch this one over. These two books I feel are deserving of a reread because I really want to, well, for First Lie Wins, I want to experience it not sick. I want to, since I know that I enjoyed it so much when I was sick, I want to read it with a clear head. And then with The Perks of Being a Wallflower, I just want to kind of relive again what I experienced the first time I read it. With the exception of these two books, I feel really comfortable with how I rated each of the books that I read in 2024. And it makes me happy seeing the steak fry and the sweet potato fry tiers far more crowded than the other ones. So I would consider 2024 a win. So while I am not going to link to all of these books in the description below, if you want to, you can go back through some of my monthly wrap-ups to learn more about these books. Otherwise, if you enjoyed this video for whatever reason, do leave a like and subscribe if you haven't already. I have been Jim. You've been great. Happy reading.